How did you wind up more conservative to the point where you would say it out loud in LA?
My mother. My mother is incredible. I was not raised in a political home by any means. We never discussed politics. We never discussed current events. I'm not really interested in hard politics or DC. That was never part of my upbringing. She is very values-based. And so we had a lot of conversations about what our family values, personal responsibility, independence was huge. And those were the discussions that we had at our dinner tables. And when things would come up in my life, whether it was friends or in scripts that I was reading, I honestly think that is where the majority of my value education came from, is because from age 8 years old, I was being given scripts for auditions and projects that I was working on. And we would always discuss, what is the meaning of the script? What is the writer trying to convey to audiences? Do you agree with this? What do you think the character is trying to say? And those are things that you need to know as an actor. But my mom wanted to make sure that I never just fully lost myself in these characters. And so she was like, how is that different than what we believe, than what you believe? What is this character trying to say to the world? And by articulating that and identifying it, I was able to go, oh, that does not make sense. That's not actually something that I want to put out into the world. And I think that was one of the reasons why I really took a step back from acting while I was in college, because I felt so conflicted, because I would read these scripts and say, I don't want that out in the world. Like, I feel bad playing this character. I would turn down scripts all the time that had nudity, for characters that are like 16 years old.
You're not going to the Met Gala anytime soon.
No, I am not. But I thought very consciously about all of that. So that was constant conversations in my home. And when COVID started happening, I was faced with a lot of anger and hatred from friends in college that I did not expect. These were friends that were my, closest friends was about to live with in the next year. I was in a sorority, and all of that kind of blew up in my face. And I realized, oh my gosh, I disagree with all of you. And I knew that, and I was okay with it. And we were close friends, and I spent hours upon hours. I was going to live with you. And suddenly you hate me and are basically threatening me and are throwing, communist manifestos at my head at parties, calling me a racist for simply.
Is that true? I mean, truly,
yes.
Were they really getting after you?
Yes. I walked into a party at UCLA at one point, and simply because I was from Tennessee and because we had a conversation where we were talking about the primaries in January of 2020, and I said, no, I'm not going to vote in the primaries for Biden. And then they go, oh, you're going to vote for Bernie? I was like, no, I'm actually not going to do either of those.
Secret option number 3.
Yeah. Oh. And that next week, I walked into a party and one of them stood up on a table and said, there's our racist friend Brett from Tennessee.
No.
Yeah. And I was and so everything, and then COVID happened. And COVID, for me, in terms of my education and my social circles and everything else in my life, it was a blessing in disguise. Obviously, the way it turned out for the world was awful, but I think that it gave me a lot of distance. It forced me to reflect a lot about the people that I was surrounding myself with, the industry that I was in. It pulled me out of an educational environment that I think was very difficult for me to survive in.
You know how the left always uses the word toxic, it's toxic.
Yes.
They make it toxic for righties.
They do. And so, I moved home. I was doing all of my classes online. I made the most of it. I did, a business program. I studied for the LSAT. I started making these videos for PragerU and Young Americans for Liberty. Like, I really, really leaned in. It's like, if I was going to put myself out there, because I knew what it felt like to be so alienated, to not see my values represented anywhere in my circles, in my industry, online, on social media. I was like, I have
your
a voice.
age group. For your age group. That's the thing that's special about you. It's like, if 22-year-olds want to get conservative commentary, they can get it anywhere. But not necessarily from a really smart 22-year-old young woman.
Yeah, I did not see the kind of content that I'm creating now. And that is why I was so passionate about it. I think that's also why it took off so quickly, is because I was filling a niche that I personally cared so much about, that I knew I wanted to exist in the world. Because coming up as somebody that was more right-wing, that had traditional values, valued common sense, like I would listen to Dennis Prager, I would listen to Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles and Candace, and I would listen to Larry Elder. My mom is obsessed with Larry Elder.
He's brilliant.
He is, yeah. And so we would listen to him on car rides and Rush Limbaugh, but nobody was my age. And then I would go on to YouTube and social media, and I would watch all these people that I love and follow. Now I want style inspiration from you, and I love this actor. But then I would listen to, the Vanity Fair roundtables and go, I disagree with literally everything you're saying, even though you're my age. So I wanted to fill that gap.
So when you look around your age group, what's happening with young women? Because my impression from, way over on the other side is everyone's naked, everyone's getting enormous boobs and enormous butts. they're having all this fat sucked out of their waist to try to make it look like some sort of a weird, character, anime character.
Did you see Kim Kardashian at the Met Gala?
There's something seriously wrong with that person.
It's crazy.
I don't understand I really think she might have had ribs removed.
Yes.
I don't get it. I don't like it, and I don't like what message it projects. I don't like the beauty message that entire family projects.
Yes.
But you wound up okay because you had good parents. I know my kids are going to wind up okay. They have good parents. So I don't want to blame it all on them. But when you look around your generation, like what do you see young women doing and wanting?
I think young women are just lying to themselves. I think we've been lied to by society. We've been lied to by the Kardashian type figures that have given us beauty standards that are completely unrealistic, that have told us that the ideal is to be plastic, that you need to change everything about yourself to be desirable, not just to men, but to the world, whether that is Botox or lip fillers. Have you seen that young women my age are now getting Botox because it's preventative?
22-year-olds?
22-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 18-year-olds. It is a huge thing. It's like, it's preventative. You won't have wrinkles later on in life. It's like this is the most ridiculous thing. Obviously, if you want to do it later in life, that's your prerogative. But at 21 years old, you're literally
not necessary.
No, it's not. But they have been told that is their ideal. And I think a lot of the pressure then comes from women, because as other women start to do it, then younger women on social media see it and think that is what they need to aspire to.
Can I tell you just a quick? I want you to finish, but this is why. Remember when Dolly Parton performed was it the Super Bowl, and she came out and it wasn't the Super Bowl, it was like maybe Country Music Awards. Anyway, she had a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader outfit on, and I think she's 77 years old or maybe even older. And I found it both inspirational and depressing.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's great. I love Dolly. Everybody loves Dolly. She looked so great. But then I also kind of miss the days where women were just allowed to age. And we didn't have to try to look 22 when we were 82. And that would be fine. That beauty standard did change, and you were judged accordingly. You didn't have to be in a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader outfit.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. No, but I think that a lot of that has pushed women in a wrong and dangerous direction. I also think that society has been telling them for years that hookup culture is good and you don't need to be married. I mean, I think of like the 2016 Hillary Clinton era feminism and the Sheryl Sandberg lean in and girl bossing, like that took off in the mid 2010s and pushed women in this direction. And now 10 years later, they're going, I'm not happy. I'm single. I'm in my 30s. I have distanced myself from my family. I have given myself over to this corporate career, which is ironic because they sit online and say that they hate the man, they hate the patriarchy, they hate capitalism. And yet the one thing that they dedicate their life to is sitting in a cubicle and being a girl boss for Meta or Google or whatever you want to say. And so I think that women, number one, have been lied to, but then they've made the choice to lie to themselves and say, no, I'm happy. I'm happy being single. I'm happy hooking up every night and having no commitments. And I think that they're waking up because obviously that is not what we are, wired to do. And I see it every day. I see, my female audience grow. The most important thing to me is when I meet women, out just when I'm walking around in the world and they come up to me and they say that they watch the show. It's just the greatest feeling because again, I'm creating that content.
It's a great feeling for me to hear that too, because we need young women hearing alternative voices like that. Like
there's so many of them that come up to me and it's amazing.
The other side is fed to them on a silver platter. They're on every magazine cover. They're stars in all the shows. They're featured in everywhere and everything in left-wing media. And, the right wing, it's like you have to watch it subversively if you are 17 or 18. Yeah. But more and more of them are. They're starting to do it as a backlash to this it's not an overcorrection. It's just the over-promotion of like Women's History Month and Black History Month and Gay History Month and Pride Month, all of it. I think subversively they're starting to look for alternative sources of information, even to young people.
Yes.
So on the subject of men, though, you're married. You got married young.
Yes, a month ago.
Best wishes.
Thank you.
Nice. You're
Thank you. Yes.
So how are kids your age dating? How do you find, because I'm worried, we were talking with Adam about Mr. Carponzi in Birchum, who's got the man bun and he wears a sign that reads, the future is female.
Yes.
And he's a completely emasculated version of a man. I just don't think any woman really would want to sleep with a man like that. I can't understand a woman who would want to sleep with a man. But it seems like that's the trend now. More and more young men are becoming more Carponzi-esque than they are Birchum-esque.
I call them the wet cigarette men. The Timothy Chalamets.
Oh, yes.
I don't know why, but it's just like that and Machine Gun Kelly, that style, that genre of man. On my show, I always say you're a wet cigarette man. You're limp and you're kind of grunge and kind of nasty. And I don't know if you shower and you're very, very skinny. It's true. That's what I always say. But no, the 2024 dating landscape is a hellscape for sure. I feel so awful because I read my comments and I have so many people, both men and women, saying, where do I find like-minded people? And I'm seriously working with my team. I don't know how to make them meet. I don't know if I just need to, I was talking with Jordan about this on his podcast. I was like, I don't know if you need to set up something after your shows, after your lectures, where you have them all, like all the cute men in their suits and the girls that come to listen. I don't know what it is, but something, because they're out there and they are desperately searching. I just did an episode about Bumble. Bumble just did a huge rebrand. Most people are still trying to meet partners on dating apps.
I don't even know what Bumble is.
Okay, so Bumble was created in 2014 to empower women. It is the feminist dating app, and women had to make the first move. And so they did that so the women were in the driver's seat. They did not have to get any, unsolicited sexual pictures, no cringe comments from men. They were in control. So it's like Tinder and Hinge where you swipe, but the women have to send the first message. Well, 10 years later, apparently it's a burden. Women don't want to make the first move. They don't want to do it. That's the whole reason that the app was created. But now they're saying, it's too hard. I don't want to do it. So they created this system where Bumble sends an automatic message from the woman. So technically it is still from the woman, but Bumble, the app, is sending it. The men have to create the clever, interesting, personalized response. And then the woman on the other side of the screen gets to think, is that clever enough?
Oh, wow.
It's just, that is like, those are the apps. That's what's going on. They have become a game and they are designed to keep you on the app. Like those apps make money by you not meeting somebody and not having a fulfilling relationship.
That whole need, like we saw behind the social network, that's behind the dating apps too?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, my Lord.
And I remember, I think that there is a way that you can use them well. I was actually on Dennis Prager's show, 4 years ago. We were talking about homeschooling. This was at the very beginning when I was starting to do this kind of work. And we were talking about dating, and I wasn't dating anybody at the time. And he had said, I think that you should be on dating apps because you live in California. And he said, if you use them correctly and you put all your values out there and you say, I am a Christian, I am conservative. He's like, even if you're not fully conservative, just say that you are on the right, put them all out there, because then you'll weed out all of the terrible people.
Screening.
Yeah. So it's good screening if you're willing to put yourself out there.
Have you heard about Bon Charge? It's a holistic wellness brand with a huge range of evidence-based products to optimize your life in every way. Founded on science and inspired by nature, their extensive range of premium wellness products might help you sleep better, perform better, have more energy, recover faster, balance hormones, reduce inflammation. The list is endless. If you want to burn some more calories or detoxify after indulging in one too many treats, check out their infrared sauna blanket. It raises your heart rate like physical exercise does, so you could burn calories while you relax and flush out heavy metals and other toxins. And now Bon Charge products are all HSA FSA eligible, giving you tax-free savings of up to 40% off, even more of a reason to check out their many wellness products. Boncharge.com/Megyn. Go to boncharge.com/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.